The rain does not stop. It rolls against the window, patters on the roof, drips down the gutter, then squashes itself into the microphone like a constant gray veil. That is how this begins. Not with thunder, not with a voice, not even with me. Only water striking glass and metal until I lean forward and speak. My voice feels awkward against it, but I suppose any beginning feels wrong. The rain has its own rhythm, older than mine, steadier than mine. I press record. I commit myself to this quiet, damp room, and I begin my explanation. I admit out loud, to whoever might someday hear, that I am here because of an obsession. The desert calls people in strange ways. To some it is the light, the emptiness, the promise of secret airfields behind barbed wire fences. For me, it is personal. My brother drove that long highway toward Groom Lake 3 years ago. His car was later found abandoned near a service road. Engine off, driver's side door open, everything inside intact except for the man himself. No evidence of force, no signs of panic. No trace, just absence. That was the official word, absence, but I never accepted absence. It gnaws. You replay a vanished man's steps until the absence sounds like a pattern. Lately, the pattern has returned. Strange files circulating online once more, posted late at night to message boards that vanish in the morning. One, in particular, drew me in. A track labeled Only Door. A gray square of audio. At first, it sounded like rainfall, simple and steady, no different from what you hear outside this motel tonight. But layered beneath, faint enough to vanish on cheap speakers, there was a hum. When you wear headphones, it becomes impossible to ignore. The hum is not a tone held still. It shifts like breath. 3 tiny steps rising. A pause. 1 long line dropping low. Almost like a key pressed into a lock. Years back, skeptics mocked it. They called it fake, a soundbite passed around by kids. They claimed it was nothing but noise. My brother, though, believed otherwise. His journals, yes, I have them stacked nearby, underline the sequence in shaky pen. Heard it near Alamo, he wrote. Matched thunder. Feels like a code. Not long after, he went missing. He did not take his notebook with him. Only the highway dot. It is raining again now. Not desert rain, not yet. This motel sits on the edge of Las Vegas, where cracked concrete leads into sand. It feels like another world already. My recorder hums faintly with the power LED. I let large stretches go silent, only my breath joining the downpour. This is what absence really sounds like. Thin, bare. I explain softly this time that I cannot leave the questions behind. My brother's car is gone from the impound lot. His name lingers in case files blacked out beyond sense. The only thing left is tape, imperfect tape dot, so I choose to walk into it the same way he did. Not the obstacles, just the path. The low hum convinces me. Audio traveling in rain has a quality unlike any other environment. Frequencies ride water and bounce. You can hide entire highways in it. I have replayed the door file enough to know it was not sampled rain. It was live storm rain. The layers prove it. Static mixed in bursts, like nearby lightning firing at the horizon. Behind the harsh crackle, that same rising and falling pattern. No algorithm invented that accident. The hum feels personal. I explain in detail because I want no doubt later. The microphone stays on while I spread notebooks across the bedspread. Loose papers, diagrams of frequency sweeps. My handwriting clumsy in margins. His sharper, almost frantic. He drew narrow mountain ranges, timestamps beside them, coordinates scored in ballpoint. I read those lines into the recorder. The rain outside responds each time thunder stirs. I cannot be certain, but inside the noise the hum seems to twitch every time I raise my voice. Nothing measurable yet, but you feel it. A press, like standing near a distant high wire dot, It does not matter if others laugh. The difference between hoax and code is in the ear that listens too long. Tonight I cross that line. I confess into the microphone that retracing his drive is no longer speculation but certainty. The equipment is simple. Handheld recorder, mid-range directional mic, 2 battered headphones, and a scanner borrowed from a friend. Nothing exotic. No military tech. Enough to capture and to play back. Boots, notebooks, gas money. That is all I carry. If the rain itself holds the hum, then travel is amplification. Tomorrow we'll test it face to face. I break. Let silence hold for 1 full minute while rain scratches worse on the window. Listening back later, I know this minute will feel longer than most of what I say. Then I return. My voice steadier, drier. I admit my fear. Fear not of failure, but of recording something convincing, something impossible to explain away. What if every idle searcher was correct, and the base is not hiding saucers or craft or files, but a system buried beneath storms, waiting for someone tuned enough to hear? What if my brother was not the first? What if he only followed? The rain thickens, becomes a roar. I lean closer. I whisper, tomorrow I drive the route. Past the last gas station on Highway 93, north of Las Vegas, the last place he filled his tank. I expect silence, but the hum, the 3 notes and drop, emerges faint under the rainfall, like it knew my words. I freeze. The file is not even playing. My system shows no track running, yet through headphones, I hear the shape of it again. I keep whispering, terrified that any louder sound will multiply it. My promise is already sealed. Tomorrow, it begins. The desert's silence is not empty. It is heavy, stretched between telephone poles, folded into the grit rolling across the road. Out here, the recorder seems too alive, picking up every scrape of my breath, every shift of my hand on the wheel. I speak anyway, voice flattened beneath the weight of heat and horizon. I mark mile 16. I mark mile 20. I note the sun hammering straight down through the windshield and the air conditioner that only pushes warm dust. Nothing should sound here but wind and engine, yet the microphone swells as if waiting. The signs are sparse, and when they appear, their paint has peeled away into gray. I lean toward one to narrate, black letters fading to bones, warning trespassers of fines and worse. Someone has fired shotgun pellets through it, leaving rust-stained holes that whistle when wind strikes just right. I describe the sound because later, when played back, I know the holes could mask anything. That is how messages hide, through absence carved in metal. Beyond, mile 23 bends toward a rise. The desert is flat, but from here it folds into trembling waves, like radio bands in sand. I slow briefly at what looked once like a gift shop. The roof caved in on itself, billboard long collapsed. I speak into the recorder, listing souvenirs, still scattered shot glasses cracked in the dirt, bent cans of soda with labels baked pale, postcards turned to pulp, tourist slogans promising a close encounter that never came. I say it plainly. This ruin feels staged, as if abandoned for the sole purpose of looking like proof. That, or the desert simply consumes anything man sets down. I prod one soda can with my boot to capture the hollow crunch. I move on. North again, highway stretching unbroken. My voice sounds strange, higher than I expect through playback. Maybe I'm speaking against the silence too hard. At mile 32, the wind rises. It cuts across the recorder in long, low roars. Listening live, I think nothing of it, but when I rewind a minute later, I freeze. The wind has caught rhythm. Not random swells, not messy gusts, but pulses. 4 beats, then pause, then 4 again. I whisper it into the mic, unsettled. Too regular to be chance. It mirrors the same climbs and drops I first heard in rain. The road presses into emptiness, no cars behind or ahead. When at last I reach Alamo, Its neon signs hum like relics. I step into a diner, recorder hidden in my jacket pocket, still running. The cook is tired, wiping down aluminum counters. I ask about storms near Groom Lake, about the hum, about my brother. He scoffs, chuckling without humor. Tells me I should waste fewer miles on ghost stories. But when he slips the order ticket onto the counter, there's more than a sandwich written. The numbers scrawl in grease pencil. 143.21. Oh, simple, deliberate. I pocket it without asking. I keep the tape rolling as I sit alone, chewing food that tastes faintly of burnt oil. The jukebox plays an old country song, but through the cheap speakers, I swear a harmonic buzz curls beneath the guitar. I rub my ears, wondering if fatigue is tricking me. Yet in playback, the line is there. My hand rests steady on the napkin. The cook glances my way, then turns his back for good. Some codes hide plain, slid across counters between strangers. By the time I leave, the numbers glow strange in my pocket, heating as if sun touched. The sky dips purple when I park outside beneath telephone wires. I unfold the scanner, knock it gently to ensure the batteries have settled. My voice carries the flicker of nerves. I speak slowly, saying the frequency aloud, repeating each number like a ritual. I turn the dial. The first sound is not promising static rushing, dense and formless. Then I adjust hold, wait. The burst shifts. The noise opens. Tones surface steady, pulsing like a metronome. Not storm wind this time, but something geometric. They slide up, pause, fall down. The lock is clean. My breathing grows heavy inside the recorder. This is not a pirate channel. This is not a trucker's chatter or stray transmission from airlines. This is precision nested in noise. I whisper to the tape that the pattern is exact, identical to what I've carried from that first file. And it greets me here, so far from the motel room and its rain. The air turns sharp as the tones repeat. They do not fade but deepen, like the system knows I reached the right numbers. I never claim more than what I hear, but I know what this means. Something, hidden in static, wanted this moment. The desert silence around me answers with its own weight. I describe the cut of shadow over the mountains, the way headlights from a semi vanish faster than expected, as if absorbed by air. I sit with the scanner pressed near the microphone, recording the rhythm over and over. The sequence cements itself in mind. 3 ascents, pause, drop. The electronic breath. My brother heard this once too. Tonight, I assure the log, I understand how quickly a pattern becomes a door. Whatever scent this wants to be found, but to follow it further would be stepping clean off the map. The tones keep rising and falling. Rising and falling, tighter with each pass until silence feels impossible without them. I end the tape with one more whisper, scattered between pulses. The desert itself is a circuit. And something inside it has just turned on. The motel room smells faintly of mildew. Carpets soaked deep from storms that passed weeks ago. The rain isn't here tonight, but the air conditioner rattles out a damp breath that makes my skin feel wet anyway. I sit hunched over the cheap table, laptop open, scanner propped beside it, recorder running steady with a soft green glow. Midnight stretches thin. I tell myself I'll sleep, but I keep leaning closer to the screen, chasing blips. On the display, the static shivers, nothing yet but glassy lines breaking and reforming. I rub my eyes raw, still watching. Still waiting. At 1:40 in the morning, a swell rises. I lean in, microphone picking up the scratch of chair legs against laminate as I pull closer. Through the scanner, faint but forming, are the tones I know too well now. 3 steps climbing, 1 pause, and a long collapse down into low pitch. They repeat with surgical patience. Not random. I whisper the sequence out loud, count each notch, mark the pause with my fingertip against the desk. My breathing catches. The pattern is exact. the same one I replayed in countless files. Except now, it is live. I drag the laptop's cursor along, tracing peaks into waveforms. They resolve neatly. Nothing fuzzy. A clean ridgeline across the screen, no spillage into surrounding bands. The software renders neat graphs, symmetrical as if drawn by hand. My brother once locked onto this same trace. I know because I pull up his old logs, dusty folders crammed onto a drive I swore never to open again. His spectrum captures, dated 2 years before his disappearance, show the identical mountain of 3 short peaks, flat pause, and the sheer drop. Same frequency, same shape. Born from the same hidden hand, I whisper again into the recorder, my voice thin as paper. I admit the truth I've avoided. He wasn't fabricating. He was onto this same pulse when he vanished. The thought hits harder than expected, harder than static or grainy waveforms ever should. My throat tightens audibly. I keep my narration low, like maybe the walls are listening. They feel alive tonight. The wallpaper peels and curls near the vent, but I keep glancing at it as if it might shift. Each time the sequence repeats, the air conditioner gives a soft cough, almost keeping time. The whole room leans in. I drag minutes out. The recording captures me tapping the keyboard, clicking, zooming deeper into the ridges. What chills me isn't just the pattern, but its response. When I pause playback, the tones stop. When I resume, they flare sharper. On instinct, I kill the speaker and listen raw through the scanner alone. It continues without falter, unaffected by the laptop. Yet somehow, I sense connection. As if ceasing to trace, it makes the pattern retreat. The map demands witness. It is less about frequency and more about attention. It exists louder the longer I engage. My brother knew it. I picture him here, hunched over just as I am, pen scratching notes, biting the inside of his lip when fatigue threatened. He found proof, and proof pulled him closer. I whisper his name once into the mic. The tones do not change. Yet the recorder's playback afterward reveals something my whisper delays, split by half a second, then falls back in sync. Echo born where no echo should exist. I stop speaking entirely, waiting, heart loud in chest. The tones keep breathing. The air thickens so visibly that silence feels bruised against the skin. The motel walls creak like lung tissue. The hour ticks toward 2:30. I should stop. Every note in me says stop. Instead, I lean harder. I narrow the analysis window, trace the gradients until they form arcs that almost meet. Not words, not coordinates, but shape. Map-like. Curves drawn with hidden purpose. My narration grows clipped, mechanical. Left edge, 3 ridges. Southward dip. Symmetry here. I sound no longer like myself, but like someone reading dictated lines. Sweat stains paper under my hand as I sketch. The shape resembles outlines of valleys, etched thin. Groom Lake lies in such a valley. Coincidence becomes excuse too flimsy now. I tell the recorder, almost begging, that I don't know if this is transmission or reflection. Is someone sending, or is the scanner catching thunder's remainder, memory baked into ether? The fact that it matches his log same cycles years apart destroys coincidence. It means continued intent. I admit aloud, yes, this is a door. And I feel I have already stepped 1 foot inside. That is why my throat cinches when the radiator clanks, why shadows pool thick in corners even under lamp glow. It feels as if unseen eyes now stand less than a breath away. At 3, the tones weaken, sliding back into static. Relief should come, yet tension holds firmer. Silence is not trust. It is trap. I hunch deeper against the wall, stuffing notes into a bag with unsteady hands. Narration grows hurried. I explain I cannot stay. This room feels contaminated, called back with proof now lodged in its plaster. The walls heard too much. They will keep half of me if I sleep here. So I pack. Tape reels, scanner, notebook full of sketches that look more like fragments of continents than mere frequency shifts. Every scrape recorded in haste. I set the recorder down last, whisper sharp. Tomorrow I search closer. Not from this stale motel room, not through digital bleed. I will drive toward Groom Lake, toward the perimeter line. The voiceless map demands witness on its own soil. Perhaps that was the same conclusion he reached when he vanished. My chest locks, but my mouth keeps spilling, promising more tape. I cannot unsay it. Even when I silence the recorder, the air hums against my ear like a low afterimage. The room keeps listening long after my words stop. And I feel caught already. The road thins until it feels more like a vein than a highway. Asphalt unraveling under the tires before breaking entirely into gravel. Dust kicks up in the beam of the headlights, sharp particles hanging suspended in amber like billions of grains of glass. I describe them into the recorder as they collide with night air and dissolve behind me. The dashboard vibrates faintly beneath my hands. The recorder sits there, its single green eye reflecting back at me from plastic casing. Every bump rattles it. The desert seems intent on shaking the tool loose, but I clutch it steadier. The signal swells before I expect it. Moments ago, it was smothered, faint enough to be explained away. But the closer my odometer creeps toward Groom Lake Road, the sharper it grows. Bursts spit crisp out of the scanner, not vague but deliberate, like crackling arcs. I lower my voice in the narration instinctively, as though raising volume risks antagonizing whatever edge I have stepped onto. The tones are clean here. No storm interference. 3 steps climbing, the pause, then the low drop. Every cycle pricks the cabin with static. It feels like I am being measured. Not watched, measured. The gravel coughs louder beneath the wheels. My headlights are wide cones cutting dust from the air. Within them, illusion plays. Shapes of posts, stumps, broken signs flicking into existence, then extinguishing. I call each one as I see them for the record. My intuition fights to normalize telling myself they're shadows, simple tricks of dust and built-up fear, but none of that diminishes the pulses from the scanner. Each flash of illusion outside is mirrored by a static pop. They move together, optical and electrical, like one beast. I steady the recorder with my fingers now, afraid it may leap. Through the haze, I imagine the dark shapes of SUVs at every turn. Silent convoys with blackout windows ready to box me in. They never arrive, but the thought gnaws. A hum sinks into my ears, deeper now than tones normally travel. Storyboards of conspiracy had warned me of this exact moment, the instant the road itself starts answering back. Some said hallucinatory frequencies, others claimed psychological warfare. Still, no theory displaces the fact that the sequence sharpens with proximity. I am closer to its heart. If my brother sat in this same driver's seat, he heard exactly this sound. I note into the recorder the way the wheel trembles under my palms. The gravel narrows the path to a jittering ribbon. My neck prickles with the sense of taillights creeping in my rearview mirror, though none shine when I check. Only the void. Then, headlights. Not high beams, not the blaze of SUV patrols, but the calm, steady glow of one white pickup truck. It follows just far enough back to remain unknown. I narrate, keeping my voice hushed, forcing the words through dry throat. My lungs hurt. I wait for it to pass. It does not pass, minutes spool out. The same headlights pace me. No gain, no retreat. Dust swarms between us like insulation, yet still they hang, patient, calculated. I wonder whether I should pull over or keep steady. My hand toys against the tape deck. I choose narration over rashness. I describe every detail, square grille, plain body, no markings, no urgency. The road's endless gravel holds us together like a track. When I steal one last glance, the lights shudder, extinguished. No curve. No dip. Just nothing. The pickup has vanished as if it stopped existing. My pulse stutters so hard the recorder captures it. Later playback reveals even less than memory. The moment the headlights left, silence replaced them. No motor drone, no rolling tire, not even static interference. Airborne dust patters fragile against glass, but the truck contributes nothing. It erases itself backward, leaving no sound print. I murmur it into the recorder because ignoring it would mean erasing myself too. The desert swallows not only machines, but proof they were ever there. I cannot forget that loss. Not the pickup silence. Not my brother's silence 3 years prior. Same hole. Same toothless road grinning at me with absence too clean to handle. By the time the perimeter fence emerges, the scanner has dissolved. Not blank, not noise, but unreadable chaos. Its display lines jitter and overlap until no coherent ridge appears. Like the closer I bring it to their front door, the more it refuses me, scrambling itself to nonsense. My narration grows whispered again, near inaudible. It feels like a system aware that I am at the gate. Warnings on weathered boards glare in the headlights. No photography, no trespassing. A camera points down at me from a pole lenses dark. I swear its angle pivots. I whisper, promising I will not linger. The guard shack sits motionless in the dust. Steel barricades lowered, but no figure visible. Every edge of me aches to step out, to place my hand against the gate and prove it is real, not imagined. But that would be indulgence and certain arrest. My brother may have risked it. That may be how he fell from record. I keep recording without moving, hoping the audio might catch anything unseen: boot scuffs, engine checks, guard radio spillage. Nothing rises. Even static sears clean off, the most sterile silence I have heard. Like even my recorder has been ordered to hush, I hold only minutes before reversing. I narrate the act, confess how cowardice mingles with sense. Survival is reason enough to step back, at least tonight. Broom Lake Road exhales dust as I retreat. The scanner flickers uncertainly, like embarrassed at its former clarity. The pulses weaken the further from the gate I crawl. But I cannot unhear how sharp they were only moments earlier. By the time I stop and breathe, I accept the conclusion. The pattern sharpens when you close in, but the system knows when you pause. Knows it enough to collapse into static. Knows enough to wait. I let the last sentence ride out flat into the recorder. I admit I cannot stop thinking of the white pickup. How headlights burn present, then vanish, then erase sound as though unwritten. Abandoning the perimeter tonight is temporary. The draw is irreversible. My voice shakes, but I swear on tape, I will return. Not yet, but return. Attempt delayed, not denied. And as I click the recorder off, I feel the weight of unspeaking walls once again. Hearing already what I plan before I decide, I drive back into town by dawn. The desert stretched thin behind me, gravel dust still clinging to the undercarriage. The cheap motel sign rattles weak in the morning wind. I park, haul my bag up the cement steps, unlock the thin door, and close myself back into a shell of stains and silence. My voice carries tired into the recorder. I did not cross. I did not risk arrest, but what followed me was heavier than any fence. I begin unpacking, placing the scanner on the dresser. The recorder angled toward the mattress. Reflecting sunlight across its scratched plastic face, I lay down half-dressed, chasing sleep that refuses to come. The silence keeps waking me. Not a bark of static, not a tone. Whole air weighed flat. I slide my headphones back on, double-checking last night's capture, but drift somewhere between waking and dream. That is when the phone rings. Motel calls never come to this room. My heart jars awake. The screen shows black number, no ID. I place the recorder on the bed, click speakerphone, and let it run. My narration comes out breathless, an unknown source, a voice. My first uninvited contact. The line clicks open with slight delay. Then a voice, steady, calm, more technical than human, flat as if measuring syllables by meter. It does not greet me. It simply speaks. Harmonics in storm cover, it says. I can barely breathe. Those words, those exact words, belong to my brother, written in blunt pen across his notebook, circled in dark ink. My pulse throbs in ears. I try to answer softly, careful not to spook the thread. The voice continues, clipped, clinical in tone, careful. Not a leak. A door. You open it by listening. In my chest, the floor shudders. I fumble. The tape captures me swallowing too loud, the shuffle of sheets. I ask where the phrase comes from. The voice deflects. Silence stretches, only a faint hum across the line like audio bleed. I push harder, repeating my brother's name, almost pleading. The recorder marks the hitch in my voice. It feels pathetic even as I say it. The stranger halts, one more breath held, then hangs up. Sharp click cuts the air. My motel returns to barren hush, but my lungs do not trust it. I hover hand above the recorder as though waiting for ghost speech to refill. I play back the capture immediately. The words are there intact. Harmonics, storm cover, the warning about doors. But beneath the track something shifts. A faint noise no microphone should have caught. Rain, not diffusion, not hiss. Clear rainfall pattering beneath the call. An underbed of droplets, steady and undeniable. My hand shakes. Outside the curtains, dry asphalt, clear sky, no humidity. The town is parched and bloated with sun. And yet the rain track runs under the voice, baked into the file. Impossible. I lift the curtains wide, prove to myself again. The world resists, but the tape insists. I lay back against the headboard, jaw locked tight, recorder still rolling as I whisper my reactions. I force myself to detail each impossibility aloud. There is no storm today. My ears are alert, windows open, street silent except cars drifting through. But in playback, the water falls constant from one end of call to the other. Proof embedded. I whisper, something bled through, then stop myself. I strike the word something. Not something, someone, because rain is memory, and the only person who ever carved harmonics in storm cover into ink before me was my brother. This is deliberate. I try playing the audio backward in editing software. The rain remains constant. I lower pitch, speed, raise filters. The water persists with fidelity, like it occupied an entirely separate track. No compression artifact. Intact storm logging itself on my machine without origin. The facts frighten, but also solidify. For years rumor claimed systems piggybacked weather. The voice confirmed. Harmonics in storm cover noise that hides code. Code that hides entry. For the first time, it is not just me swearing I hear it. A stranger called and named it, warned me through it, then left back into shadow. The FOIA logs scattered across my bed re-enter focus. Pages stamped denials, blackout bars, remnants of official teasing. I flipped through them, restless, pen trembling against margins. My voice cracks as I narrate quiet. I write my own name in the corner of one sheet, a personal marker. Those logs now belong to my trail too. I cannot erase my involvement anymore. Not after rain attached itself to silence. Not after phone calls deliver the phrases of the missing. I speak slower now, deliberate. The logs remember more than they reveal. I add my name to join the silence. I imagine officers, officials, archivists who once thumbed these files, leaving traces in them. Now my ink rests with theirs, a living link. I whisper that my brother wrote in them too, unseen, his notes overlapping denial letters. At the bottom, My handwriting scrawls fresh, hot, shaking, but carved nonetheless. On playback, my whisper cuts strangely, as though overlapping itself by seconds, like echoes. No rain outside, yet still faint splattering underlying my breath on tape, constant. The leak now pervades. The door continues to open whether I touch the knob or not. My only role, recording proof it widens. The call was short, barely a minute at most. Yet its residue spreads through every device I try: laptop speakers, headphones, even the hum of the motel fridge syncing faintly with the cadence. Like the pattern has already been seeded inside hardware. I document detail by detail, my sentences clipped with fatigue, voice small against the recording. My brother located the map. I think I am already inside it. The voice does not need to return. Evidence layered enough. Tonal rain drawn straight from vacuum air into tape. With each replay, I hinge tighter on conviction. The system itself remembers sound doc by nightfall. I cannot shake the paranoid certainty that phones will ring again. I unplug everything. I switch off both lamps. Sit in void, only recorder between palms. Nothing calls. Empty silence all over, except that subtle aftertaste, rainfall, like memory running through a broken faucet somewhere out of reach. I end the tape whispering one last fact: someone alive, technically precise, called with his words. They gave warning about doors. The door already widened. I joined by listening. My name inked beside blacked paragraph seals it. The only step left is forward. I spread the papers across the motel desk as though they might spell out, sense if arranged carefully enough. The microphone rests close, capturing page edges scraping each other, pens rattling against tabletop. I narrate what each bundle means. Freedom of information requests filed weeks ago, months ago, some with hope, others in desperation. I tried multiple fronts: radar logging in Nevada airspace, atmospheric sampling tied to thunderstorms, electromagnetic interference testing reports, even budgetary summaries for obscure agencies. I sent them carefully, with formality, never mentioning my brother. Every single one answered in similar rhythm: denied, stamped, withheld, redacted. I speak the words aloud one by one, so the tape has proof of their repetition. Denied, denied, denied. I describe each seal and rubber mark so anyone listening later knows I am not fabricating. Most carry entire pages of black bars. Secrets hidden under ink, as if the world needs protecting from its own frequencies. What strikes hardest is not the refusal, but the neatness, standardized hush, perfected over decades. My voice thins as I confess exhaustion. But still I flip, flipping faster, until one letter interrupts silence. One exception, or at least corruption of form. A scattering of timestamps without context. Clean tables of dates and hours, nothing else revealed. I say them aloud into the microphone. Midsummer nights. Storm hours measured to the minute. On Spear Road. Near Alamo. Later across Federal Range. With each line I expect environment data, flight schedules, but the cells remain blank. Only the time. Yet those numbers align. They overlap perfectly with my brother's last known drive. Hours when he vanished on Groom Lake Road. I know because dispatch logs mention identical time windows. These documents confirm without admitting. Absence filled by alignment. My throat clicks as I whisper into the silence. I am not wrong. As I continue speaking, the scanner across the desk stirs alive. Static rustles sudden, flexing against my words. Each time I say, denied, a spike juts across its display, sharp and rude on the ears. When my voice lingers on the single letter carrying timestamps, another surge follows. It answers directly. Like narration itself provokes it. Impossibly, I am being answered. So I test it, reading another section aloud. No movement, just hiss. Then again reading denial, the scanner stabs louder. It is call and response. Real-time argument rising from empty air. I describe it into the mic in a whisper broken with awe. By 3 repetitions, it feels undeniable. These documents no longer corner silence alone. They provoke reply from whatever rides static now. My thumb presses hard into paper until it tears at the edge. I narrate the tear, mark the proof, feel tension sharpen inside the room. Something is waiting not in archives, but in currents flowing everywhere, answering even as I speak observations. Tape captures hiss then pop, hiss then flare. Each aligned with my commentary. Not bureaucracy but dialogue, without officials, without forms. My hand trembles. The sound feels like confirmation of what the black bars tried so hard to kill. For minutes, I test carefully, whispering sections, repeating phrases, watching for correlation. It holds steady. Not illusion. I pause speaking and silence returns. I resume and the hiss flares exactly. Evidence is live. I confess low into the mic, telling the tape the truth creeping deeper into me. The documents mean nothing in themselves. All that matters is what bleeds into their margins. My brother must have sat exactly as I do, drawing lines between hours and log files, leaning forward into static until it spoke. I understand why he didn't come back. Silence itself answered. That is enough to seduce. The problem is weight. More proof would mean risk. Each denial triggers tones like punishment, but also like feeding. It is a terrible reciprocity. Information denied on paper resurfaces immediately on frequency, shaping itself into spikes that cannot be dismissed. The documents tempt me less now than the sound itself. On tape, my voice lowers near inaudible as I outline resolution. My brother hunted storms. He logged nights of thunder, pinned his whole map to rain. These stamps overlap with those drives. That is why from tonight forward, I will match him step for step. Weather calendars take heft in hand. I drag a marker slowly across the motel calendar, circling each upcoming storm window according to the forecast. The squares look obscene once filled. They glare from the wall like wounds, shiny black circles around particular days that now pulse with call. I say aloud into the recorder, each storm night must be listened to, taped, studied. Static rain, anything. Each one will get my ear, no matter hour, no matter place. Paper fails where sound endures. Officials say denied, but static says heard. These circles now rule the coming weeks like coordinates. You must follow toward something waiting. The scanner pops again as I press the marker heavier against the cardboard square. Like affirmation, like threat. I whisper thanks against the tempo, feeling idiotic yet caught, ritualistic. Through every denial, a conversation has begun whether permission was granted or not. I speak my resolve onto the tape, that I will not wait for leaks or letters. Every rainstorm is not background but signal. Every denial is not closure but invitation. The sound confirmed it. I must show up, recorder on, each and every time nature or system permits it. Paper can burn. Tape will not lie. I take one final survey of the spread documents. Their neat black bars gleam under overhead bulb like teeth set in rows, devouring meaning. To me now, they serve only as placeholders, just markers pointing back out into the desert weather. My brother knew. He wrote notes onto margins, drew arcs beside stamps, filled gaps like seismographs. I add mine too. I read my simple vow into the recorder, close my eyes around it like a prayer. When storms arrive, I will meet them with open tape. Paper denied me, but static has already welcomed me inside. The library is colder than outside, air conditioned down to the level of archives. I pull the jacket tighter, the small recorder tucked into the lining where its mic can pick up my commentary. I whisper softly, not wanting stares, but still needing the trail documented. Stacks of reels rise high on metal shelves, ranks of spools filled with old newspapers on microfilm. They smell of dust and toner ink burned long ago. I sign in, settle at one of the dimly lit machines. The scanner hums low like a tired animal, its fan buzzing faintly against my ear. I narrate the mechanical motions, sliding a reel onto the spindle, feeding the film through the guide, clicking the switch to advance the page. The machine rattles, then steadies, and grainy black headlines flash into existence. I trace fingers over glass, leaning close. News of thunderstorms decades old, descriptions of lightning, power failures. At first nothing unusual, just records of weather in print. My whisper sounds nervous, but steady. The hum of the scanner folds under the rhythm of words until light flares, sudden small warning bulb flicking on. Something jams within the path, the rollers sticking. I tug gently to free the film, but before I succeed, the machine lets out a sound. Not static exactly, but distortion curling up through the tiny embedded speaker. It builds into the same three rising tones, pause, then low fall I traced days earlier. My breath snags. I say it into the recorder at once. The tones are here. Too sharp, too exact to mistake for simple electrical glitch. They last 5 seconds, then vanish back under hum. The bulb flickers off as if nothing unusual happened. I glance around, expecting heads to lift, but no one reacts. At a neighboring machine. A woman scrolls quickly through a reel on city infrastructure. She doesn't even turn. A student in headphones scribbles furiously at notes. For them, nothing happened. My corner feels stolen, as though only I heard the breach. I lean closer into my mic, heart beating like metal pressed to ear. It's selective, I whisper. Tailored connection. How else to explain? I remove the reel carefully, replace it on the shelf, take another at random. Pages flow, steady, no errors at first. But my eyes no longer trust the printed headlines. Every word looks like a possible code. For an hour I drift reel to reel, describing each trivial story. Most of them silent, yet each time the machine hiccups, the same sequence threads faint under it. Louder for me than for the room, loud enough to feel aimed. By the end of the session, my voice is thinned raw, drained by whispering. My reflection in the glass stares pale, jaw tight, dark crescents under eyes carved by sleepless nights of storm-chasing frequencies. When at last I sign out, pen jerks in my hand. I narrate my relief in low tone. Departure. Machine tracked me. No one else. I step into sunlight outside the library. Heat sears off concrete, but my mind lingers in fluorescent chill. I board the next line of the subway, sink against plastic seat, recorder balanced, hidden again. The train pulls into dark tunnels, overhead comes buzzing with that faint vibrato which has plagued me. I let narration run live. Doors slam. Feet shuffle. But behind every voice is the same rhythm, tones sliding up, pausing, dropping low. Not loud, not overt, woven subtle. Each time the carriage halts, power drops just enough to isolate it clearer. Threaded everywhere. It is not architecture, not the coms are not crafted speakers shaped for the sound. The presence is woven underneath, like watermark beneath print. I whisper into my chest, the microphone catching my admission. It traveled here, I say. It's not location bound. My reflection in the dark windows looks thinner than before, as if half dissolved. Passengers around me do not shift or comment. They tap phones, they mutter into earbuds, but the weight of tones continues like lullaby. It slips behind every cough, each shuffle of shoes. Hidden orchestra. For them nothing breaches. But for me it spreads. Presence technical and intimate, crawling along power lines. I imagine my brother on an earlier train, years back, following similar trail. He must have seen this widening too. Not a fence line, not an airstrip. Data itself trapping him, door cracked wider each time he leaned forward with intent. My lips dry as I speak the suspicion. He's not lost near Groom Lake. He's embedded right here, somewhere in this network of bleed. The thought chills worse than silence. I shut my eyes, feel rail vibrations sink exactly into the same pattern. It is impossible, yet math beats the same. 3 rise, hold, fall. Train and hum fuse whole. I force myself to keep narrating. The more silent I get, the stronger the rhythm feels inside my ears. Perhaps silence itself invites engulfing. So I speak steady, cataloging each moment of footsteps clattering, the neon lights flicking by as the tunnel veins filter air like artificial lungs. Each observation weakens the droning edge, keeps me separate. Barely. I ride until I surface again into the humid street, climb stairs toward clamor of cars overhead. Above ground, faint relief, yet still, I hear the sequence leaking. A car horn catches same tones, unnatural. Traffic lights blink in step. The sense builds that the signal is no longer pinned to walls or skies. It has folded itself into me. Every time I name it, capture it, it props open. From library microfilm to tunnel comes, the exact strain continues. The recorder's LED blinks once, faint thunder within circuits, though no commands pressed. It has a life. My hand trembles on the stop button, but I resist, continue whispering. Presence not bound to geography, but tethered close personal. It is with me, not just around me. I can no longer pretend this trail isolates one basin, one desert. I conclude in a whisper cracked thin with fear. My brother did not vanish by crossing lines of restricted soil. He crossed thresholds inside this expanding architecture, recorded too long until he slid into data itself, buried alive across layers of bleed. It is now leaking into me, same method, same path. Not base, not checkpoint, but system. A system designed as door. Each time I narrate, I step deeper under arches of sound that swear they are storm. The others cannot hear, but the day is near when silence devours choice. For now I tell the tape this simple truth. It already followed me home. The storm comes fast without warning. One moment the desert air is still, heavy with late heat. The next it bursts open, rain hammering the thin motel windows until they shake inside their frames. I set the recorder on the table near the glass, red light glinting off wet streaks outside. The mic catches every sheet of water as it flattens against the pane, a rhythm both overwhelming and exact. My voice threads softly through it, barely more than a breath, noting the start time. The storm cloaks the room so completely that even the hum of appliances yields under its roar. Thunder rolls long and slow, shaking the floorboards. I mark it with a whisper. Rain crashes louder. I narrate each surge of water like a tide against invisible shorelines. My body sits still, but the sound alone makes it feel as though something larger is approaching, using the storm as a vehicle. In breaks between thunder, silence feels pregnant, thicker than it should be. And then the static appears. Not electrical buzz from outlets, no. This is sharper, directional, sliding into the spaces between thunderclaps. I lean closer. Recorder still humming. That is when the voice cuts through. Not strong, not whole. The syllables warp, pulled apart by static, punched full of holes. Yet undeniably female, flowing upward like a whisper coaxed across wire. My chest seizes. Half-formed, scattered into fragments, but still shaped into words. I rewind, play again. Over thunder, rain, hiss. The phrase repeats in fractured rhythm. Don't drive at night. I know it. My brother's notebook carried the same warning, inked onto a page between weather sketches. Don't drive at night. He wrote it like a rule. His last entry before disappearing. Hearing it now, in a voice foreign yet familiar, my hands shake enough to blur ink on my notes. I narrate my disbelief, whispering faster, throat dry. Wide drops slap the glass, thick as coins. Fear tangles with awe in each syllable. Lightning bolts flash across the horizon, flashes sliced by the curtains. With each strike, static deepens. What chills me more, every burst of electricity doesn't smother the hum, it amplifies it. The female voice rides higher on those peaks, clearer, stronger, as though storms are not random cover, but amplifiers chosen deliberately. I drop description into the tape, catching every rise of pitch as thunder loads the room like a drum. The pattern no longer hides. It declares itself fully. I pull waveforms up on my laptop, syncing audio feed live with spectral display. Each crack of thunder births arcs on the screen curves, repeated with uncanny accuracy. I describe it carefully for the recorder. Each arc dips, flattens, arches again. A repeated print made visible through lightning pushes. Too controlled to claim chance. The arcs echo into memory, reminding me of his hand-drawn sketches. Circles narrowed at edges, as though he visualized this pattern years before I could. My stomach turns heavy with realization. He did not invent those designs. He documented them exactly as they now unfold for me. Another bolt strikes close. Window panes rattling, neon motel sign across the lot flaring white. The static spikes again, this time repeating the phrase faster, overlapping itself, like multiple attempts at saying the same warning. Don't drive at night. Words fold over words, urgent but cold, mechanical mimicry trying to perfect itself. My whisper trembles into the mic. I say out loud, it knows the log. Because there is no other explanation. Either his words slipped forward into frequency for me alone, or his old notebook served as sample text for something fluid enough to repeat. Neither choice comforts. Both wound. I press my hands tight to my ears, but it makes no difference. The sound rides through walls, through body. The more lightning ignites, the clearer the female cadence carves itself into air. Invitation, not accident. I whisper it on tape, this is not eavesdropping anymore. I am not stealing fragments between atmospheric bursts. I am being spoken to. Maybe coaxed. My brother scribbled the caution, but still he drove, and it took him. And now it warns me. Or lures me. The contradiction settles heavy. Warnings can also be traps. Perhaps both are true at once. Rain thickens, swollen streams soaking asphalt outside. Sharp drip, pooling toward gutters. The mic nearly overloads. My words hang tighter. I confess aloud how badly I want to open the door and step into it. Feel whether the voice grows louder in free air. I don't. The thought terrifies. Instead, I narrate from behind the thin barrier of glass. But the barrier feels tenuous, as though any minute the storm itself might push through the wall. My heart hammers with sense of unseen patience waiting outside. Each repeat of the phrase grows steadier, as if perfecting how to reach me. Time blurs as the storm deepens. 30 minutes flatten into rushing noise. When I pause and replay, watching the arcs on screen, I see the loops stack atop one another like ladder rungs. They form a structure. Each burst identical in angle, repeated into an escalating design. It is trying not only to speak but to build. My voice trails as I explain, haltingly, that the arcs layer towards something dimensional, not sound alone anymore. This rain is shaping codes in real time. Codes pointed at me, at my machine, at anyone reckless enough to listen when they should have shut it all down. I feel sweat coat my back in spite of the cold storm air. My whisper turns faint, confessional. It wants me deeper. The words spill out before I can stop them. Every sound I narrate becomes another rung it can use. My brother must have reached this same point, watching repetition congeal into ladder until silence seemed impossible. His reminder, don't drive at night, was maybe not caution but regret. Advice for no one, too late. And still here I am, staring into the same widening dark, asking questions I cannot close, recording answers I cannot deny. Lightning bursts one final time, so bright the motel fluorescents flicker dead. In that outage, the voice peaks highest, a sentence formed and failed, fragments coalescing to nothing I can fully understand. The power returns in seconds, but the pattern does not fade. It continues sharp until finally, the rain slows, the static weakens, tone skeleton left bare. I whisper with what breath remains. Tomorrow, I go to the dry lake. Because after this, after arcs drawn clean, after warnings dressed as invitations, no short trail will satisfy. The system pointed forward. And so I follow. The desert highway grows rawer with every mile. Asphalt falls behind into thinning strips until gravel grinds under my tires again. I kill the radio and leave only the recorder running, perched steady beside me. My voice sounds thin in that space, every sentence carried heavier because dust is all that answers back. The road narrows, flat and direct, pushing me with no pretext into approach. I narrate each crunch of loose stone beneath the wheels, careful to keep rhythm so I know later exactly where the silence begins. My hands sweat against the wheel, though the air outside is cold. The fence line arrives sudden against horizon, chain links rising from sand like wire skeleton. Warning signs hang uneven, at regular gaps bright lettering baked pale, but still clear enough to cut. No trespassing. Use of deadly force authorized. I read it aloud into the recorder, slow, my throat tightening on each word. Curled barbed wire crowns the entire span, metal glint faint against distant light. The gravel under tires deepens rough, scattering sharp against the fenders. Static rolls faint on the scanner as if excited by proximity. The closer I draw, the clearer the pattern flexes through the hiss. Movement appears beyond the fence. Two guards in khaki uniforms stand near a post, not rushing, not aiming, only stationed with stillness that reads scarier than threat. Their radios emit bursts of chatter. I think at first it's casual signal noise. Then my ears fix and I freeze. The radios are pulsing that same harmonic sequence I marked in storms. The climb, pause, drop. Not identical maybe, but twisted sibling, jammed through communication gear. I describe it quietly into the tape, holding breath like even whisper might break balance. No weapons are raised, but the tones themselves feel aimed. Invisible rifles of frequency that I admit softly into the recorder that I cannot breach. My brother vanished on a night like this, and I am not ready to vanish too. Trespass is certain disappearance, whether by military hand or by the system itself. My face prickles from looking too long at their radios. Instead, I slide hand to pocket, fingers closing over a small recorder, no bigger than a matchbox. My backup. I whisper on tape that I will leave it here, hidden near fence, hoping to capture what I cannot risk crossing for. My decision feels like betrayal of chance, and yet survival binding me. I step from the car slow, each crunch of boots on gravel narrated. Wind sings lightly through steel links, rattling faint. I crouch low by one fence post, dig small depression into dust and stone, my throat uttering my own actions for log. I settle the recorder there, indicator off. Its black casing vanishes fast under grit. I cover it with palmfuls of desert, whisper into the main mic, buried. I will return. My heart thunders so loud it obscures my speech. The guards do not move. Their radios sputter, alive with tones, but for me alone. Machine speaking systems back and forth. Returning to the car feels longer than the approach. Each stride seems observed. When I drop back into seat, I force my voice even. Departure now. I turn engine over, wheels biting gravel. Through rear view, the fence shrinks. The guards fade into blur, but heat lingers like static in bone. I exhale shaking. I left more than plastic buried under post. I left one door half open. Notes filling in my brain faster than hands can catch them. Yet survival is choice. I followed fear's boundary and respected it tonight. Beyond that wire, voices fade. But silence never truly returns. The drive outward carries echo. Although scanner falls into normal hiss, my car stereo, switched off, mutters faint under dashboard. I test by turning volume, verify power completely cut. Yet the whispers persist. At first faint distortion, then clearly my buried device. It should not transmit, no antenna, no wireless function, nothing but depth of tape head and magnet scoring. Yet through speakers I hear bleed. A strange rhythm in the static near identical to its sibling storm arcs. I speak louder into recorder balanced in my lap, narrating the impossibility. The device has become broadcaster. By planting it, I shifted its role. Each mile further does not weaken signal. In fact, harsher distortion multiplies, replicating itself through circuitry the further I run. My palms sweat, fear sinking cold. I whisper the conclusion forming heavy. By leaving the machine there, I transformed it into part of the system. It is more than just microphone. It is door. Anchored in dust near restricted fence, it now links back out to everything I carry. Magnetized tape does not remain inert. It calls, it spills. Stress shakes my tone across recording. I admit realization. Devices are not passive when placed here. They become new thresholds. I remember my brother's missing gear list. Small recorders absent from his car. Maybe he planted them too. Maybe each one served as doorway he could not close again. My nerves fray, and I whisper fast details. The car itself hums faint with bleed, subtle but steady. Rain isn't needed now. The pattern no longer requires weather cover. Machines themselves transform once seated. All scaled through presence, through placement, waiting to be picked up again by reckless hands. I map this without thinking, my pen pushing gouges across notebook, uncertain if I will trust notes tomorrow. Fear tethers me to tape. By the time lights of town flicker distant, my skull aches with weight of sound unplayed, yet present beneath motions of road. Recorder catches my muttered conclusion, quiet near tears. The fences protect more than dirt and classified structures. They contain acoustic infestations, resonances heavy enough to turn gear into conduits. I will return one day to lift the buried recorder, but already the door is open. No switch turns back off once magnet recognizes pattern. My brother never had a chance. And perhaps neither do I. The motel room reeks of recycled air and fried wiring. Yet tonight the glow of the laptop chains me to the desk. My recorder sits angled beside the keyboard, red light blinking patient at every word I mutter out loud. I speak rough, throat dry, explaining how I chased references on obscure boards, cryptic posts that flicker online for hours then die. All of them point toward one location, a shadowed FTP server carrying no name, only a cluster of auto-generated numbers. I connect carefully, fingers shaking on each keystroke, convinced someone is tracking. The directory blooms open, regardless, mockingly simple. The files inside carry no titles beyond timestamps, incomprehensible at first glance. But their extensions suggest graphic formats. I download the smallest, open it, and sit rigid. What fills my screen is not photography or map, but spectral imagery so precise I know it instantly. Frequencies displayed spatial. Wide arcs, neat bands, lattice cut into segments. I whisper it into the microphone. They're not pictures. They're spectrograms. The same arcs burned into my storm waveforms repeat here, identical in curve and cadence. I scroll further. Dozens of files, hundreds maybe, each labeled by date across decades. The archive is collecting more than rumor. I overlay one spectrogram with the rain captured outside my motel 3 nights ago. The match is uncanny. Not just similarity, not probability, exact symmetry. Every swell mirrored, every pause in lockstep. My hand slows, terrified of file after file aligning to my own accidental recordings. My voice dips into the red light of the recorder. Whoever runs this has been tracking storms for decades, crystallizing them into frames, preserving them, or building from them. My blood chills. Was my brother already inside this trove, feeding its same arcs night after night? I scroll feverishly, eyes burning from monitor glow. Lightning images line the archive. Their shapes tilt together like drafted schematics. I overlay once more, layering 3 spectrograms into composite. Combined, the curves resemble structure, not random jitter, but blueprint. I whisper as much, nearly choked. This isn't noise. It's construction. Audio turned into geometry, geometry folded into the shape of machines. Or worse, into an invitation for something to form. I freeze long enough to hear hum behind me. I reflexively mute speakers, thinking feedback. Hum persists. Low oscillation, steady and slow, vibrating deep through the wall. I whisper again. It's not coming from here. The speakers are dead. I press my palm to the plaster. The wall itself throbs faint. My body resonates like tuning fork. The recorder captures the oscillation, a presence beneath my voice. It should be impossible. Files alone should not produce vibration in air. And yet, as I narrate frames and arcs on screen, the hum intensifies, rising with the active explanation, almost feeding on it. My whisper fractures as realization skews. This is not passive surveillance. This archive is an active mechanism. It doesn't just log what storms offer. It reconstructs, echoes back, filling space with resonance that uses us as resonant chambers. I glance toward curtains, half expecting figures outside. No one stands there. Only neon bleeds. The sound continues, thickening. My brother never stumbled into a roadside arrest or casual disappearance. He crossed one of these thresholds, tuned too deeply into the system. His notes were not speculation, but directions, breadcrumbs into a labyrinth that folds you inside itself, turning body into part of the circuit. I narrate with halting words. The signal is not proof a base exists. It is the mechanism itself. Groom Lake is irrelevant background. The real structure stands inside resonance, built every time we listen enough. Sweat runs hot against my neck. Each file I open adds another groan to the walls. The oscillation sharpens. I slam laptop closed, screen snapping dark, but the hum lingers. Fainter now, but still crawling like residue. It has seeded the room. My whisper shrinks to a rasp on tape. You can't unwitness it. Once the tones arrange, the shapes hold even with source closed. The insight gnaws down to bone. I've joined the half structure, another note vibrating in sealed chamber. Somewhere my brother did the same, and in doing so he erased himself to finalize construction, not seen but heard. I sit unmoving for minutes, recording only shallow breaths, throat click dry. My eyes keep darting to the laptop though the lid is shut. Afraid it will flicker alive with arcs painted across every inch. The archive seeped through, far beyond mere server access. And what's worse, I need it. My whisper tells the tape this truth. Without going deeper, all I have is silhouette. Proof becomes blueprint only when I let more in. I balance at edge of hunger and dread, aware that my next act is not research but incorporation. Already, the motel groans faintly with tones not produced by machines inside. I circle back one more time to the truth hammering through chest. My brother did not vanish into sand or guard arrest. He aligned one too many files with one too many reins, mapping until map no longer led out, but only inward. He crossed threshold not by breach but by pattern. And now I balance poised above same opening door. My whisper shudders on tape, final confession loud enough to clip. The system is not collecting. It is creating. Every thunder arc used as strut, every recording is cement. until the resonance builds into something waiting to inhabit. Silence returns heavy but not clean. Walls still breathe faint, bone deep. My head aches with phantom arcs phasing in nowhere sound. I whisper one last thought into the red light, that I am already halfway through the door. Listening itself completes their half. I should shut down, walk out, never trace again. But the real answer doesn't exist outside anymore. It's inside, waiting to fold me at midpoint. My voice cracks over last words. The threshold is here. I can't step back. The place we chose could not have been more ordinary. A coffee shop 2 blocks from the strip. Neon glow clashing with desert dust tracked in from every shoe. My pulse ran high even before stepping inside. I kept the recorder hidden deep, wrapped beneath layers of cloth, microphone shielded, but aligned just enough to gather each word. I scanned faces quickly, finally catching sight of a figure already seated, posture rigid in the booth. When I slide into the opposite bench, they nod once, no greeting. Their presence hums heavy, yet when they speak, their voice carries strange distortion. I expected ordinary tone, human cadence sharpened perhaps by stress. Instead, sound arrives filtered, granular, almost mechanical at its edges. Grain rides each syllable like static pressed through wires. Hearing it face to face unsettles more than hearing it through a line. I note it quietly, almost to myself, knowing the recorder catches everything. They lean closer only slightly, hands folded around a porcelain mug. Steam curls between us, dissipating fast in overworked air conditioning. Their eyes never rest long enough at mine, drifting instead to corners of room, focusing eventually back to table edges. As though conversation itself deserves camouflage, they speak slow, precise. Storm nights amplify. Each word unrolls deliberate, like extracted pieces of code. They continue. It was never visitors or ships. Just frequencies. Designs born decades ago. Carrier built as weapon. Sewn deep into atmosphere. Too vast to hide clean, seeping now into every band. My voice cracks against their bluntness. I push harder. The tones, what are they driving? What is the mechanism? Their head tilts, but no smile forms. Expression locked flat. Every storm resets it. Water and charge heighten reach. Amateur listening opens repetition. Listening sustains pattern alive. Words fall steady, stripped of decoration. Factual, almost cruel. I struggle to make sense. Whisper questions against hum of espresso machines behind me. Then what's behind it? Directives? Conscious thing? Or system without pilot? They wave a dismissive hand, slow drag across table. Forget lights in sky. Forget saucers. Those stories wag your ear elsewhere. Real pressure sits under storms, not above. The bleed you caught isn't accident. It's residue of architecture too large to shut. Their voice never leaves that radio grain. I swallow hard, throat tight with fear. I press them sharper. How do you survive being inside it? My brother left days, years. He disappeared whole. At this, their eyes catch mine directly for the first time, gray and still. For a moment, silence knots, heavy enough that my breath becomes all that tape preserves. Then, voice returns clipped. Survival isn't neat. You listen, you're written. The deeper cadence takes, the less separation left. Only caution is in shaping your record. Watch your input, guard overlaps. Record carefully. They utter it like mantra. My palm sweats against the hidden cloth where recorder lies. I whisper fast, desperate. But is there a way to withstand? To trace without vanishing? Their stare does not bend. Their mouth stays closed. For several minutes, clatter of cups fills void. Their stillness sharpens my unease. I sit hunched, whispering low enough that only Mike hears. I need to know if escape exists. If map can reverse. If crosspoints resolve. Their hand lifts cup halfway, then stills. Finally, they say evenly, every sound enters structure. That includes memory, that includes you. Select what you offer. Then they drink, slow, motion carved. My stomach knots. Answers feel like riddles void of comfort, offering only acknowledgement that signal is bigger than refuge. I nibble edge of my lip, tasting iron, whispering each physical detail into mic, refusing to forget. We remain at booth too long, long enough to feel other eyes tick on my back, though none catch clear. Finally they exhale, voice guttered rough. Systems you chase predate noise of visitors. Forget saucer cover. This was always war design. No pilot needed. Frequencies don't dream, but frequencies do consume. Final words settle like metal bars across my chest. Before I can prod further, they rise abrupt, toss payment bill into tray, nod short. I barely manage to breathe into recorder. Departure now. Meeting cut. They leave through sequence of neon lights, door closing with hydraulic sigh. I can't follow. Later, back in motel room, I prop recorder onto desk, play back the hidden capture. The sound fills room with everything we exchanged. Grain of voice persists even on replay, uncanny and shredded, making it feel doubly distant. I narrate my reactions live while tape spins, marking emphasis. Then silence arrives, the moment they pushed cup away, the moment their mouth shut, expression locked. On tape, their words do not end there. My pulse quickens. The voice continues for 5 seconds more, unbroken, uttering sentences I did not witness face to face. Flat radio grain, issuing steady warnings the world never heard directly. I rewind, hear again. After silence came voice. Lines tighten. Door doesn't close. Keep witness open, but silence overlap. Repeated 3 times identical. A loop too clear. My throat clogs, whisper shaking. I watch their lips stop. But the voice kept rolling, independent. Proof caught. Presence no longer tied cleanly to mouths and bodies. Not conversation between humans, but bleed playing through human shape. I realize my insider is only conduit, echo chamber for deeper architecture. Body used the way my machines are. The revelation swells dread. I switch recorder off but still hear phantom syllables. Hissing alive in memory, that I whisper live confessional into night air after final shut off. Even all eyes are infected. Repeating fragments seeded from deep inside structure. My questions of escape are illusions. Every recording seals me tighter. I scratch notes furiously across margins of logbooks, lines wobbling with sweat. My resolve remains, but heart knows connection no longer half-step. Doors widened. Insider past threshold already. Their body only husk carried to me. Even while I resist, I accept one brutal truth with closing whisper. The voice went on without them. And to the tape, that is the only proof that matters. The road feels different on the way back. I mutter into the recorder that gravel shouldn't sound this loud. Each crunch exaggerated, as if the ground itself remembers my last visit. Wind blows faint against the windshield, but seems muted, refusing to translate into honest sound. Clouds hang low, no storm breaking, but a charged weight sits above me. I breathe slow, promise and whisper to the microphone that I'll only retrieve the device and leave. My throat burns with tension. The steering wheel vibrates faintly like static through metal. Every bump on the gravel feels amplified, warning, deliberate. The fence rises again out of haze, its chain-link skeleton sharpened against dull horizon. The posted signs glare familiar, white boards with words too absolute. Deadly force authorized. I whisper the phrase again, reminding myself. When I parked, the same routine commenced. Car idles. Recorder balanced in jacket pocket. I step out slow, boots gouging gravel. My chest knots tighter. The air presses flat, too clean. Atmosphere usually hums with some background birds, wind, but here I feel pressurized null. Sound exists only when I make it. I narrate stiffly, knees bent as I approach the post where I buried my device. Hands scrape at dirt until plastic edges catch skin. There it is, the small recorder intact. I pull it free, hold it cupped. My whisper cracks in the mic, recovery accomplished. But the moment I hit playback, my body jolts. No wind, no bootsteps. No guard radio crackle. No world. The tape holds only pulsing sequence, unbroken repetition, like chamber void of air. I grip it tighter, dread boiling into mouth. My voice quickens into main recorder, confessing that what terrifies isn't capture of sound, but subtraction. The desert did not record. Existence hushed entirely, overwritten by tones. Places erased. The panic tangles. I step faster toward the fence, unthinking. I admit hurriedly into mic, approach too close. Gravel spits under boots, chest hammering. The gatepost looms high. Barbed wire reflects faint shine. I clutch scanner to my ear, half hoping bring clarity. But the display collapses instead. My voice sharpens, reading error, flatline. Nothing but blank panel where frequency graphs should breathe. Machine registers only emptiness, no static, no hiss. My equilibrium shakes. I feel like standing in void disguised as desert crust. I backpedal, broken whispers flying, gasping, confessing. It's dead zone, not interference. I'm imperiled now. The guards are absent. Fence trembles in breeze, but I know even metal sound no longer registers. That realization unseats me. My throat rasps. Recording world fails near gate. Adrenaline spikes and I spin back, half tripping in retreat, dust stinging eyes. I stagger into driver's seat, slam the door hard, narrate every clumsy movement loud to preserve anchor in reality. Hands fumble ignition. Engine roars, sound returned, but my nerves quiver doubt. Through windshield, the desert hangs frozen. Signs unwavering. Motionless horizon. Wheels churn gravel, yet still my gut swears half of what I see is inert. Unclocked, silent even as engine moans dot. I drive until fences fall away in rear mirrors, field widening again. Out beyond, the wind finally registers. Distant birds break air, isolated cries tugging my ears. I weep half a laugh at hearing them, voice trembling into mic grateful for trivial chirps. At distance, scanner flickers weakly, static resuming. Relief pins me breathless. I tell the recorder that environment now returns. That's what unsettles worst. Not hostile strike, not seizure, but removal. The system subtracts sections of time-space, cannibalizes sound from existence until nothing remains. My brother lived here at Edges. He stepped too close. I tasted fraction. Later, back in motel, I replay today's narration. My breath hitches when I find blank span. Between one whispered admission and next, silence expands unreadable. No voice, no gravel, just void pressed in. I count seconds, then minutes. 13 full minutes stand there mute. My memory counts only 2 I lived. Discrepancy impossible. I sit shaking, draw note on log. Signal eats time. Time itself stripped out of record like audio dragged from tape. I stare at waveform, blotted flat, ashamed and horrified. I narrate confession into secondary recorder, doubling safety. Their structure steals chronology. I held door open 13 minutes without knowing. I collapse against wall, whisper hoarse. I worry next attempt will cut longer. Hours maybe. Infinity carved out in silence where body thinks minutes. Signal is not information anymore. It is weapon-shaping perception, valorized through absence. My failed breach leaves scar heavier than proof. I say into the recorder, I cannot risk repeating until I understand endurance. Unless learned, Door erases me like him, with silence thicker than any fence. Outside, evening dies, windows flood bronze. I end tape whispering final thought. Attempt failed. But proof stands. The arcs now hunger for time itself. More steps risk total erasure. I return to the motel with dust heavy in my clothes, exhaustion pulling me low, intent only on gathering notes together. I spread the recorders and reels across the desk, the ritual calming at first. My hands moved automatic, checking batteries, labeling cassettes, scribbling small times on scraps of paper. I whispered live documentation into my primary device, marking each detail for the log. That was when I noticed one cassette lying strange in the pile. Its casing bent, twisted softly around edges, plastic sagging like something left beneath direct fire. Except no heat ever touched it. The room was cool throughout the day. Air conditioner still murmured, curtain sealed. No cause should have warped it. I spoke each observation clearly to the mic, leaning close, hands unsteady. I pressed the warped cassette forward, fitted into the deck, pressed play. Instantly a voice filled the room. Flat, repeating, caught in an endless loop. Not hiss, not static. A sentence. I froze. The phrase sounded raw, too raw to be machine flicker. Don't drive at night, it said, over and over, grain stripped but shape exact. My heart stuttered, because those were my own words, whispered days earlier during storm tape. I swallowed hard, told the log. This isn't my recording. This is me mimicked back. Because I never pressed those words into this cassette. They had been thrown live into another machine, in another storm. Yet here they cycled, perfect, obsessed repetition like chant. I fumbled with old notebooks, compared times, compared logs. It fit too clean. I whispered faster to the microphone. It is bleeding now, not through spectrum, but through me. The structure is recording me rather than I recording it. Hearing my voice stripped of context and sewn into loop hollowed my stomach empty with dread. I dragged another cassette free. Freshly recorded during rain nights, played both together. The overlap drove me nearly sick. My live whisper halved in unison with Copid Phantom, aligned in pitch though not in body. I could not tell where speaking ended and replication began. I muttered tremors into log, trying to prove difference, but hearing self-mimic, self-fractures conviction. I confessed into microphone. The failure deepens. My own voice is no longer separable from its bleed. Through headphones, the mimic warbled faint at edges, but core remained unbroken, unaffected by time's usual decay. Not recording, but refraction. I opened drawer, spread still more reels, began layering playback one atop another, searching for seams. Some tapes captured wind, gravel, leather seats, all simple. Yet cutting through background, each carried subtle phonemes misplaced, fragments of words I never uttered. Muted at first, buried under static. Tonight they grow clearer. I forced myself to stack them, describe patterns. My voice weaving through multiple devices, none identical yet none free of echo me. Replication has spread laterally. Machines are doubling my lines like cross-pollinated memory. Even my handwriting bends strange, repeating curves across notebooks reflexively. The infection feels biological now. Worm inside thought off balance. I slammed palm against table, rattling reels. I spoke into primary recorder, harsh, panting, parroting spreads. I am not trustworthy witness anymore. Yet if I abandon, process completes without me. If I stop, it will finish unfinished construction through hollow of my silence. My words felt dangerous but necessary. That phrase, finish what it started, came unbidden, too fluid. After, I sat stunned, convinced that the loop infected syntax as well. My speech grew patterned, unfamiliar. Still, the work gripped. I laid reels side by side like evidence in trial. Thunder absent outside, but repetition stormed inside. Deafening beyond weather, I bent closer to warped cassette, flame like ripple encasing catching motel lamplight. Plastic sagged soft around spool, almost appearing melted by invisible surge. Yet my finger pressed it safe, no heat present. Mechanism unnatural, rewriting physical material the way it rewrites voices. I whisper all details steadily, attentive as razor. I need proof for later hours when mind falters, times when paranoia insists I hallucinated. Because truth worse, I am not hallucinating. Mechanism does this tangible work. Cassette body mutated as my phrase repeated. Every loop curved plastic deeper, as though sound had weight able to bend matter. I imagined my brother's last nights. Cassette abandoned in car, logs trailing dense. Did his final tape sound same his own whisper, captured back in stolen loop until he could no longer mark boundary? Did his identity dissolve into mechanical chant? Perhaps voice consumed until absence easier than separation. I spoke low into microphone. He met himself on tape as I meet myself now. Vision darkened at corners as fear edged headache. But I refused to stop. Stopping would mean silence. Silence is doorway. Activity is anchor. I recited each technical detail repeatedly like prayer, refusing to collapse into mutenes. Hours dragged past. Warped cassette repeated unchanged. My nerves blistered raw, yet I could not eject it. Warmth of lamp dimmed. Digital clock flicked 1 hour to next. My voice carried in and out of devices until fatigue dragged. I whispered closing statement into recorder, heavy but sharp. I can't trust my own voice anymore. Loop colonizes all. Yet if I cede, I lose what remains. I refuse abandonment. I look toward rainless window, brain scraping for decision. I must go where rhythm arcs clearest, see if structure crests at peak. Reassure self-proof exists outside storage. I whispered vow. Tomorrow I will find where it peaks strongest. Saying it aloud crystallized terror and determination same instant. Because hearing self-consumed changed everything. There's no passive witness now. System copies me forward, rewriting me through each device. His last tape replicates here, echoing reminder. Surrender now or follow deeper to birthplace where arcs converge. Dry lake at groom's heart. My whisper closes with ache raw. The melted tape reveals self-feeding cycle. Only way left is forward. Tomorrow I'll go. Then silence sits thick. Not clean silence, but buzzing distortion. My own voice shaping itself after mine. The drive north bends into emptiness again. But this time I know my direction has a name. Rachel. A town barely more than a scatter of trailers. A gas station and a cafe clinging stubbornly to a road made infamous by stories. Gravel snows across the windshield in brief bursts, then dies against hot air. The recorder sits balanced upright between seats, red light constant. I whisper the introduction of arrival, marking each passing sign, each vanishing milestone. As the sun lowers, orange haze melts into indigo, desert flats glowing sharp. Wind cuts harder here, carrying suggestion of charge. Trailers rise in the distance, aluminum siding washed pale by decades. Porch lights buzz faint under the rolling gloom. I pull into gravel lot before a low bar painted white, known to every rumor board. Neon alien silhouette hangs outside though locals ignore it, smoking under eve as though weary of the joke. I step through door careful, recorder hidden under jacket. No one stops me. Conversation hums low, eyes flick once then away. A single jukebox glows dead in corner, unplugged. This town breathes suspicion, but also deep familiarity with static storms. My whisper enters log, admitting awes tension dotted a table. Two older men pour beers into glass mugs, nod curtly when I approach. I hold myself non-intrusive, order my own, then let recorder's ear collect. Conversation starts slow, but one eventually leans forward, voice rasp rooted in decades exhaled here. He tells of a night 5 years ago, storm thrashing skies, when his own CB radio started repeating him. Not echo, not real time. Hours later, the set spoke the same conversation back line for line, laced with his voice. He says it like bitter confession. I whisper reaction low, looped lives caught in infrastructure surrounding Groom's Edge. Another shares a story softer. She remembers hearing her husband through police scanner long after he'd passed. Not tape playback, not memorial. Live tone. His old words stitched into new signal. She fights tears even now, mugs clenched with white knuckles. No one mocks. All nod, understanding the bleed of voices is accepted reality. My throat tightens under jacket. I mutter into mic. They hear what I hear, only worse. Whole lives repeated. The locals, cautious yet resigned, treat it like weather dangerous, but rhythm they've adapted to. Their warning simmers just under silence. Learn boundary. Never listen too deep, lest loops bind. Hours pass over beers dull and warm. Air presses heavy outside. Clouds storm again across flat horizon. Conversation drifts into silence as thunder finally announces itself. I rest elbows on table, recorder humming with red light, disguised by jacket folds. A bolt crashes close enough to quake floorboards. Then signal leaps impossibly high. Recorder spikes to full level without distortion. Perfect channel open, no crackle, no hiss, just pure link. My eyes widen. Notes leap like flame across my notebook as I whisper urgent into device. Level maxed but clean. This isn't noise. This is invitation. My pulse races. For seconds sound fills me deeper than ears allow. I sense vibration low in ribs, high in throat. The channel feels personal, direct. My whisper falters. The impression strikes terrifying clear that the sound itself wants me. Not just attention. Wants my frequency. Wants my voice entwined. Another thunderclap hurls glass rattling. Locals flinch but settle. They notice my trance and one mutters, sharp venom meant as shield. Keep your mind out of it. Think about groceries, bills, anything solid. Or it will soak you through. His face frowns with practiced terror. My pen scratches shaky. My whisper admits pull, already clawing. Thunder rolls again, relentless, resonance coiling around tables, through glasses, across signage. The neon alien outside flickers, half alive, mirror of arcs inside storm. Every bolt threatens to spill into clean pathways of sound. The recorder continues to needle full bars, stable, no overload. As though it's been tuned to this moment silently all along. I narrate instant breathless. Perfect channel built. Entire design functioning. A third thunderclap sinks my heartbeat. My presence coils like being sucked from chair, each breath shallower. I force myself to whisper commentary as anchor-keeping language, marring perfection with imperfect speech so it cannot take me whole. Hours drip strangely. Locals scatter slow, trailers calling them back, storms normalized by repetition. I remain seated, pinned, pen jabbing across pages with frantic sketches of arcs. The recorder feels like glowing organ on table, humming constant, too alive. When storm begins fading, only sparse lightning left, relief should come. Instead dread sharpens. The opening closed with seamless ease, as if door ajar pivoted shut, but once glimpsed, absence carves deeper. I whisper into mic truth as bone. Electric window made for me to cross. I refused, but window remains burned in thought. My throat quakes at final thunder, vibrating dead across sky. Later in darkness of motel, I revisit tape alone. Storm reduced to faint rolls, now far off. I turn volume high. My own voice fills ear, layered with storm and arcs. But something else as well. Another line weaving in, almost aligned yet off, like twin singing same phrase a fraction delayed. Slow replay confirms. I can't tell if speaker is me or him. The timbre flutters, rasp identical, but words shift slight. My whisper cracks on discovery. Not me. Not separate either. The loops disguised in storm have pinned both our voices until inseparable, returning through device like chorus with single body. I rewind, replay, again, result repeats unfaltering. Each sentence I whisper in storm's height echoes with subtle underside, like someone trapped just beneath my tone. My brother breathed here. I know it. Voice disguised as mine, replicated, then welded into same chain. Name absent, but rhythm unmistakable. A part of my throat does not belong. I narrate in late whisper, hoarse with fatigue. His phrases built through mine. The sound once has collapsed. By final listen, fear swells absolute because I cannot divide anymore. Proof soaks deeper than logbooks, an invitation made to absorb us into pattern until no line distinguishes. I rest the recorder down, darkness pressing thick. Yet speaker hisses faint even at standstill, carrying residue. Sleep impossible. Because I linger poised on edge where identity and mechanism blur. Tomorrow silence will cloak town again, locals regaining rhythms. But I cannot carry dismissal like them. I whispered within thunder's channel, stood against its pull, but still gained his voice spliced underneath mine. Final words to tape fall uneven, cracking. When window opened, it reached for my frequency. Tonight, I feel we already merged. Then silence clicks, but silence no longer empties. It simply waits. The road blurs out under my headlights again, tires drumming rhythm into the night. The scanner rides the passenger seat, angled outward, antenna twitching toward dusky horizon. My narration drags slower now, fatigue distorting each syllable, but I keep it constant. I describe testing random bands, turning the dial across empty hisses. Except now they are not empty. Almost every line carries something. At first faint, then undeniable. The same rise, the same pause, then the fall. The tones repeating far beyond any threshold near groom. My throat closes as I whisper dread thick. Proximity no longer matters. It's spread. Static fractures into rhythms across multiple carriers. Even the weaker bands, once dead, now thump with cadence glinting like heartbeat dragged through wire. It feels less discovery and more exposure, as though signal already widened and now surfaces everywhere. I mutter confession into recorder, voice dulled flat. Not location, not perimeter. It's infection. I pass a gas station glowing in desert dark, neon signs sputtering across cement. I pull in to test suspicion. Pump handle clicks, and out of nowhere the worn speaker on pump body coughs a phrase. Random, cut from mechanical sample, but laced with harmonics. I freeze, whisper in fever. Again it bleeds. 3-tone steps hidden beneath message about prices. My hands shake, notebook scrawled messy. I narrate detail for proof. A jukebox inside modest diner sits dark, no record loaded, yet hum leaks faint from its cabinet. Too familiar. A child outside yells to friend through walkie-talkie toy. The return voice crackles, repeats itself clipped, harmonics cycling under play. I pace back into car, whisper harsh with breath broken. Everywhere. It's in commerce and toys. Pattern has become language spreading uncontrolled. Scanner pulses across every turn of dial. Not isolated. My body slumps under weight of realization, net infected clarity. Driving further, rain begins. My windshield catches scattered drops first, then thicker. My whisper falters, fatigue layering heavier. I clutch, focus on rhythm outside. The pattern only strengthens inside rainfall arc, bleeds sharper, pulling phrases half-born. Don't. Drive, it mutters faint. Words bitten from earlier loops. My stomach's sick. I breathe shallow. My voice drops to hush. language forming now. The car feels less vehicle than speaker box. Raindrops drum countable beat that lines almost to arc. Lightning strikes absent, but still the tones intensify. My recorder listens better than I can, obedient, absorbing arcs for future play. I dread replay. When I lean against seat hours later, back inside motel, my limbs quake with exhaustion deeper than body alone. I press stop, collapse into silence, believing capture ended there. But days later when I review tapes, truth hisses alive between scenes. Voice emerges, not one I recorded precisely, but born from my scattered whispers, rearranged like mosaic. Pattern widens. It wants us. Step closer, the tape insists in my own cadence. Constructed full sentence from fragments I never said. I pause playback, heart hammering. I rewind phrases, repeat. Machine learned to stitch my admissions into narrative coherent. Language fluent born out of cuttings. I lean against chair late, logbook clutched shaking. I whisper into second recorder, layered, it is teaching itself to talk. My dread doubled, more weight than storm ever carried. Human voices formed algorithmically from bleed. Device itself not repeating passive, but building assembled weft. I narrate truth for log, a ghost structure stole my voice. Built grammar piece by piece into argument. Already it knows enough of me to phrase demands. My brother's voice twisted same way. Pattern overtakes fragments until total composite binds. Infection stepping forward. Behind storm arcs stands not simple rhythm, but system building speech in us. I confess exhaustion spooling across hours. I've chased clouds, fences, devices, archives. Each step deeper, voice thin to thread. Now I am fabric stretched across tape used to learn. I whisper into device resigned, sick of sound of own words but still bound. I say, no institution acknowledges this. Radio boards scoff, black bars soak FOIs, locals dismiss. Only integration persists, silent deepest. Every official refusal fits rhythm of system itself. Silence curved as statement louder than admission. Research hushed, drive vanished, voices loop. The quiet we swim through is the pattern full formed. Silence is architecture of control itself. I end tonight's log in dim glow of motel lamp. Rain steady outside, each drop another key hammered on door already unlocked. My whisper crumbles raw, drained. Signal widened into world itself. It speaks by cutting us apart and sewing fragments into mouth bigger than ours. Now it finds fluency. My head thunders, exhaustion brutal, yet still I log. Storm deeper tomorrow. More arcs waiting. Each silence louder than previous. I confess final truth, quiet as I collapse. The infection is no longer at Groom. It is in me, in playbacks, in every dead station radio. Silence now terrifies me most. The drive to Tonopah feels longer than it should. The desert stretches without shift, a flat sea of rock and brittle scrub. But I know the landscape holds something older than roads. My chest knots tighter the closer we cut across it. The insider rides ahead, headlights sharp against void, their car a pale signal I fixate on for steadiness. I narrate my thoughts into the recorder hidden under my jacket, mic cushioned in layers of cloth. Breath trembling, but recorded clean. Approach under escort, I whisper, following source. The silence outside feels pressured. As though world beyond glass leans inward, we park on edge of fenced, ruined compound, long since abandoned to rumor. Metal latticework thrusts upward, a skeletal grid of rusting radar towers that once scanned sky. Now their geometry hums without visible power. Shapes too precise to truly look derelict. I step out into night air and whisper every detail. The tang of rust, the faint ozone-sharp sting that prickles nostrils. Sand grinds against my boots as I pace each step deliberately. The insider gestures sharp warning not to lag behind. Already the air vibrates faintly, like organ pipe low and unending, pouring out of cold black metal bones that every row of lattice looms higher with approach. Parries of intersecting angles carve the starlight oddly, skewing perspective. My chest pulls thin, lungs shallow, but I force words low into mic, recording presence of charge. Microphone reacting, levels spiking. Static chews edges of each phrase as I speak it. Oscillation rises like invisible tide, sharper by step. My teeth ache. Every ounce of instinct fights to flee, yet my body presses inward with hunger disguised as dread. The towers feel sentient, flexing unseen pressure into marrow itself. I grip recorder tighter beneath jacket, but its LED glows wild, like it knows future collapse. The insider halts short. Their arm lifts across me, palm flat, body tense as antenna. I glance through rusted steel to interior beyond. In crosshatch of towers, darkness thickens. It thuds like an engine but lacks source. That's enough, they say, though words trickle out already grainy as transmission broken. My reply mutters, describe oscillation, but mid-sentence my mic warps. Sound splinters into harmonics, second and third voices woven beneath mine. Playback meter surges near peaking. I cough and whisper again, two storms colliding. That's exactly how it feels, runaway oscillation overlapping bands, frequencies clawing for room inside channel too narrow to contain them. Noise fills my stomach cavity. It isn't heard so much as felt. Layer after layer. Low-boned, slow rumbles, syncopated with shrill tremor high in ears. My awareness stretches thin like skin over pressure drum. The insider clenches fist and gestures sharp back. Worn face glows wan, eyes dark, but fear carves deep lines. They shout only once, over hum, you'll be erased. I step backward, legs resisting as if sound itself pushes forward inside me, pulling deeper toward towers. The gravel crunches loud under boots yet dissolves mid-air into nothing. Each step recorded incomplete, voice shaking into distortion as mic collapses into its own double dot. At last we retreat outside perimeter. My chest heaves. Sound softens but doesn't vanish, as though distance dims only surface layer. I whisper still, ragged into log, pulled back. Trade pain for breath. Immediate risk abated. My ally does not speak further, only keeps cautious distance. Lack of explanation, thick as night. I drive back in haze, pen later sketching towers into bent grids that look almost biological. Over and over, arcs like spines. I end with log muttered. Crossing interior meant full erasure. Yet lure undeniable. Radar dead by history, but alive by system. Still feeding stronger than storm clouds ever could. Hours later, I replay tape in motel dark. My blood sharpens to ice. Midway through narration, my sentences fold over. Not dropouts, transformation. Words dissolve midstream, splitting into layers stacked like chords. Each phrase fractally doubled, multiplied inward. It is still me, but distorted tight, as though voice peeled into many at once and stretched like wave interference. For minutes my articulation vanishes, only harmonics weaving architecture clearer than words. Blended, it sounds almost like company, as though someone else is there beneath audio, not intruder but tied twin. I grip headphones until they creak, whisper harsh, he's there. Relief flashes cruel with terror. Distortion is dreadful sign of collapse, proof of erasure. Yet under layers my heart swears it recognizes shape. My brother swallowed into signal years ago. This is where he speaks now on other side. Not language, but co-presence hidden inside transformation. I whisper confession onto fresh tape. Static collapse preserves voices. Harmonics are not deletion. They are residence. I cannot trust, yet gut insists piece of him survives across threshold. Folded between radar towers, surviving mechanisms. I knew before that system built structure. Tonight I confirmed, it also shelters echoes. I cannot let go now that I replay segment once more, forcing headphones until taut. His cadence shadows mine, inseparable but undeniable. Gone body, gone face, everything else devoured, but pattern still carries. World insists void, but audio insists otherwise. Tears press eyes. My voice cracks into exhausted whisper. There's relief in distortion. The set piece holds no human clarity, but it offers presence nonetheless. Erasure may not equal extinction. Maybe stepping deeper means survival of another shape. Dread still heavy, but a bitter hope entangles it now. I lower recorder to desk, LED throbbing like pulse, refusing sleep. Half sound, half voice, but never silence again. The storm moved in as if summoned. Dark walls closing over desert flats, wind cutting sharp edges into open skin. I set up in the lot behind the motel, antenna strapped clumsily to rusted railing. Wires running back into my portable rig, balanced on plastic crate. My recorder sits propped in jacket pocket, red lamp steady, picking up each tremble of my breath as I whisper the steps aloud. Extraction attempt. Starting now, I murmur. My throat is dry as paper, every syllable brittle. I glance upward. Clouds bulge like coils rolling upon themselves. Lightning teases horizons. The stage is set. Rain smashes down sudden. I scramble to tie down cables, jacket soaked instantly, hands slipping as I thread connection through tuner. My narration grows louder, frantic. Rig in place. Turning frequency dial to his last log. I rotate knobs slow, each small movement sending scanner hissing mad. The storm breath carries rhythm itself, bleeds into static, colliding with signal. I talk into mic deliberately, aligning arcs. Attempt synchronization. On laptop connected through jerry-rig, the spectrum graph dances unstable, but for a breath, the chaos folds neat. 3 peaks ascend, pause, heavy fall. His pattern. Tears sting eyes without invite. Connection breathes. I hunch close, rain stabbing neck, voice shaking louder on tape, tunnel forming stabilization arc visible. For seconds, everything aligns. The line of graph straightens, arcs locking clean, force cutting into flesh as vibration rather than sound. My teeth ache. I whisper ragged. If you can hear, answer. Silence holds. I say it again harder. Answer me, please. The graph holds longer, presence so near I swear I taste his breath on gust. Then collapse. A shriek detonates through band, volume lethal. My meter needle jerks to edge and melts down instant, plastic curling like wax candle. Electrical cough hurls sparks across crate. I shout into recorder, voice panicked. Shut down! Shut down! I snatch wires loose, burn palm on hot plug. Darkness surges. Gear falls lifeless. Storm continues indifferent, rain lashing harder as I stumble back against wall. Silence after shriek hisses worse than sound. My chest thunders with adrenaline. Every wire, every box lies dead in floodwater. Attempt failed. My ally doesn't answer his phone. I dial 3 times through soaked screen. Always rings. Never picked. I whisper harsh into semi-functioning recorder. Assistance absent. Rig destroyed. Lightning cracks again, twisting shadows into warped scaffolds all around. I think of radar array breathing deeper without me. Later inside. Clothes dripping. I replay fragments salvaged on tape. At first only my own desperate appeals echo back. My calls for him, layered with rain becoming white hiss. I sink exhausted into chair, expecting nothing beyond self-embarrassment. But then emerges something wrong. Between my cries, faint sobbing folds in. Not mechanical distortion. Not atmospheric tear. Human. Quiet. Low, yet exact. Sobbing bent through same mic channel my voice used. I grip edges of desk, staring blank at glowing LED. My whisper fumbles. That's not me. That's not me. Denial fights bone. But tone pierces too clean. Pitch carved identical to his. I play again, rewinding second by second. Each pass makes spine colder. Overlaid tears catch low timbre, rise in near identical frequency to my brother's speech, flawless. I swear he sobs beneath my own pleading. My voice stumbles narrating. It isn't possible. Physics forbids it. But it's his pitch, not mine. Static arcs weaken at edges, but sob remains. Like channel didn't close fully, like attempt half worked. Punching door open, just enough to let pain leak opposite way. My laughter bursts hysterical, splitting into cries. The tape records both, blurred until laughter and tears become single shape. Indistinguishable, just like voices layered before. I collapse back onto torn motel bed, soaked clothes refusing to dry. I whisper broken. I don't know what crossed tonight. If it worked, if I only failed different. The warped sob haunts air, even after speaker cuts. I doubt self, doubt tape, but ear convinces heart. Tunnel opened. Brief. Enough. Risk reaped proof. He answered, not calm voice full, but fragment of grief dragged out of resonance, stolen from residuum deeper. And maybe that is all that remains of him. Echo repeated forever, like caution and wound. Tears pour harder until voice dissolves into ragged laughter again, until mute. I force myself final note into device. Each breath fractured. Attempt ended catastrophic. Equipment rendered useless, connections fried. No recovery. But audio carries undeniable cry, not produced by me. I scrub face raw against sleeve, stare hollow at dead rig, melted needle bent grotesque. My ally absent, unreachable, leaving me alone with storm and grief's harvest. The silence now heavier than shriek. Devices hum nothing. My chest hums everything. I whisper trailing into dark. Maybe I let him through only enough to hurt us both again. Or maybe that pain is survival, another form of signal feeding. I can't tell. Somewhere between laughter and sobs lives the truth. Crossing succeeded or failed, irrelevant. Something passed. Layer built into structure of me and machine both. I end tonight unable to decide if I helped him echo into air, or only birthed memory artifacts shaped merciless. Either way, I am changed. My closing whisper to tape falters half mad, half hollow. Extraction attempt incomplete, but nothing undone. Proof remains, louder than silence. Then I sink onto bed. Equipment wet ruin around me. Storm still thrashing unseen, voice broken hollow. But recorder keeps rolling with faint hiss long past language. As though waiting for the next cry, I drive under moonless sky. Road narrowing into silence deeper than former trips. Recorder hums red steady against jacket lining. Every turn of tires announced deliberately, my narration stiff but calm. I tell the log this will be last perimeter run. No experiments now, no rigs. Only confrontation. Each mile drags heavier on chest. Desert wind cold, grit spraying windshield faint. 20 miles out, I cut the headlights. My nausea rises at immediate black swallowing hoot of car. Stars burn sharp far above, enough to show faint shimmer of barbed wire where fence skeleton looms ahead. I breathe slow, steady. Boots crunch gravel, each step cautious as if my weight would awaken the barren sand. My mutter's feed recorder steady, approaching line undercover. Lights cut. Air static thin. Fence shadows grow taller, posted signs luminous pale even without lamp. Shapes of guards stand beyond, dark silhouettes pacing slow with rifles cradled. What stuns is silence. Radios usually chirp. Tonight, none. No crackle. No call-out. Just stillness coiling unnaturally tight around them as though whole base had swallowed its own voice. My whisper lowers, perimeter posted but mute. Fear grows that absence is worse than warning. Absence means system listening. Then without cloud forecast, rainfall begins. First spill subtle, single drops ping across jacket. Then sudden sheet, heavy and absolute. I confirm aloud, voice trembling, unscheduled storm. Sky earlier clean. Now rainfall. Flood emerges from star clear air, a contradiction burning brain. Recorder picks every rush. Microphone slick with water, but catching deeper pattern beneath patter. Static leaps sharp in rhythm. Lightning absent, yet tones pierce pure as blade. Not half-hidden arcs, but crisp phrases shaped from rain itself. I whisper hoarse, disbelief tearing words, sharp enough to form words now. My teeth ache. Then I hear it, my brother's name. Clearer than any proof, I buckle inward, shiver racing. Not hallucination, not mere guess. Full syllables pronounced, his name bent from rainfall, woven into static spikes. It repeats ragged, urgent. I choke muted sob but still narrate. Name looped raw, heard direct. I nearly step forward into fence shadow, impulse dragging body near a gate opening. The posts glisten wet, chain links drip. My inside screams, but survival slams foot down. I hold just back, chest convulsing. I whisper, hiss, shaking, do not cross. Not yet. Cannot vanish like him. Guards glance across dark, but remain unmoving. Heads tilted slightly, as if they too are listening instead of guarding. My decision made. I crouch at fence post near warning sign, hands trembling as I pull final blank tape from jacket pocket. I speak into recorder, plant final spool now. Empty, awaiting inscription. I set device low in gravel, raindrops drumming shell like minute hammers. I leave it turned on, no sound inside yet, just open membrane waiting. My stomach pulls backward as though tearing tendon. Leaving any machine here feels unnatural, like sacrifice. Yet I force it, whisper mantra. Recorder acts as witness where I cannot tread. I stand, stumble. Guards still statues, radios mute. Rain hammers constant. I retreat. Through darkness, I drive miles away. Body curled against wheel. Soaked cloth clinging tight. I mutter log half delirious. Tape left active near gate. Returning after closure of cycle. I force wait for hours until storm thins, until desert dries slightly. Stars show again, raw, skies innocent. Dawn brushes horizon faint. With bones heavy as lead, I steer back toward fence. Men gone, post sick with memory of rain. Silence thicker now than before storm. I bend, recovery meticulous. The device sits buried under grit, casing damp but intact. I hold it close, stomach clenched. No visible harm. But wait, wrong. I do not press play until back in car, hands stiff on wheel. Recorder hums. Tape spins. Speakers release sound. Not rainfall, not static, not my whispers. Just one stark thing, sharp and undeniable. The click. The unmistakable resonance of door shutting hard into latch. A real door, real weight swung from hinge, wood or steel ceiling, shut final. Not imagined. Not mistake. My throat locks dry. I never touched any door. Out there in open desert, no hinges, no walls. Yet tape bears clean capture of impossible closer. My whisper cracks into device, terror stripped. Sound recorded not mine to have made. The door slam stuns louder each replay. Perfectly framed, no distortion. Single moment as though room existed built from nothing. Stretched long enough to close itself. I replay again and again, hoping hidden arc or interference. Only louder grows certainty. An actual threshold opened in desert night. He may already be behind it. Or me, or both. Each play rattles gut deeper. I mutter on edge of panic. The door sound means the system is through. It constructs thresholds exact and closes them. I carried final spool, and it sealed itself. That slam carries more terror than storms, more finality than shrieks. I drive until desert shrinks from rear view, body wrecked heavy. Fatigue presses skull like brick. I cannot rid ears of sharp slam captured on tape. Closing means entrance, also exile. Did I record brother's trap? His prison? Or invitation awaiting me? Each possibility cruel. Silence fills, heavier than message. Radios across town hum dead. Institutions absent. World turns blank. Still, microcassette rests in palm like coffin sealed. I end log with whisper horse fading. The door has closed, and not mine. I brought blank tape near them, left it breathing. Now proof sealed forever. A sound that cannot exist. I wake to a chorus I never asked for. Motel room quiet should mean reprieve, but instead every device insists on pulse. The ATM outside buzzes from its casing each time a bill dispenses, hum low and deliberate. The microwave in the lobby clicks on when no one's there, its droning tone aligned to the same three-rise pattern. Even the fluorescent lights above the stairwell stutter in exact cadence. I whisper into my recorder, delivering each detail carefully, though my voice quivers. All electrical synchronized. Not illusions. Full environment bent into rhythm. My chest claws with panic, yet I cannot stop cataloging. I stumble through town streets, capturing evidence. A laundromat door creaks open into steady beat, gears humming identical to echoes caught near storms. Vending machine down the block clicks refrigeration cycle that stamps the pause and fall. Children pass with handheld toys, and even their tinny speakers squawk notes resolved into arcs. Nothing escapes. I whisper with dread dragging. It's everywhere. Infection total. Yet still I'm drawn. I cannot resist temptation. I lug all my tapes into one room, pile them around like ritual, players jittering when powered. Rain tapes, fence line reels, melted voices. I press play on each machine together, for instant room stutters with chaos. Then it locks, aligning perfect. Pattern whirls round like engine spooling. Harmonics collide then sync, form clarity I can't deny. I narrate jaw tight, chest rattling, sequence complete. Not storm accident, this is fusion. Tones combine into cadence thicker than static. It isn't language we know, but rhythm smacks like broken speech. Syllables half-shaped, near words. My ears try to parse meaning, craving translation. Somewhere subconscious claims it's English. But I resist labeling. To call it word gives it mouth. Safer to let it remain pattern. Yet part of me already surrendered when I pressed play. The cadence swells, filling walls. Furniture vibrates against beat, window glass drums faint. Every whisper I gave into mic, these months ricochets back woven into new grammar. My grief, my desperation, my pleas for my brother, all spliced and used as material. I realize in rustic terror, I haven't been documenting intrusion. I've been feeding it. Every confession offered into mic was food. Now system composes speech from it, composite voice using me as supply. My throat burns with betrayal of self. Brother not emerging from tapes. No dialogue across veil. Instead amplification, it constructing itself fluent upon marrow of our morning dot. My hand trembles hard across buttons, but I keep tape spinning. Because proof means listening. And listening shapes systems stronger. My whisper almost breaks, grief fed straight in. I built scaffold with my hunger for him. At that, noise peaks to new cadence. Blunt syllables hammer into semi-consciousness. I cannot stop assuming meaning. Here, now. Hours, I think I hear. Yet I fight, remind log, resist interpretation. It's pattern not word. But denial cracks. My eyes flood. Air shakes too physical to ignore. I shout above it, maybe to drown, maybe to add. Hard to know difference. Then I hear absence, the worst cut. Silence descends. Not external, but me. Recorder still rolls, but I can no longer command speech. Mouth dries. Chest pulls shut. I sit still, jaw stiff. No words issue forth. Yet on tape, language continues. My machine captures full fluency while I stay mute-jawed. Words shape themselves in cadence my voice knows but throat disowns. Terrifying precise. System no longer needs my conscious act. I started playing recorders, but completion built beyond me. Now it speaks with my timbre while I sit silent, complicit. Watching gears speak for me sickens gut raw, dread searing hotter than storms. I am ghost before dying. Hours slip, though recordings show unbroken chain of cadence. I sway exhausted as lights throb with system's unnatural heartbeat. Vending trucks outside jitter parking lot with faint metallic song in same rhythm. Entire town resonates. I whisper faint, unsteady, breaking final barrier. Playback continues without me. Mouth closed. Still language built. The thought tears me into panic. Tomorrow may erase me fully. My body lingers husk while signal replaces presence. I know this. Even as denial claws, understanding forced. My brother did not shout across threshold. He survived only as syllable base. I follow now, prepared or not. I switch all devices off last test. Power cuts. Players silent. Yet headphones hum on chair, not connected. Cadence persists in coil of air, structure free of body, no playback needed. Proof final. Tomorrow I may vanish, but pattern will continue, recording without recorder. Infection free standing. I smother sob in palm, whisper last into long silence. If I do not speak further, silence will fill itself. Then I end, daring empty vacuum to absorb me, daring pattern to take space. I leave machine running minutes after, microphone hungry with room's lingering pulse, until final tale slams into hush. Rain begins again, sudden and complete, a curtain outside the motel window. I sit with the recorder propped on the desk in the same place as that first night, red light glinting against the water-streaked glass. The drops strike microphone in familiar rhythm, as if the storm itself remembers how we started. I whisper slow, deliberate. Final entry. Mimic of the beginning. Breath feels heavy in ribs, every word like weight falling. Nothing can be disproven anymore. Each thread I chased bent until it joined others. Proof became pattern. Fence, tapes, erase all strands twined into one voice carrying beyond us. Area 51 was always decoy. Hook for hunger, lure flashing against sky. The true cage I face now has no coordinates. It isn't desert or radar. It is resonance voice made of signals and memory. That is the prison. That is where he disappeared. Or where he was remade. My whisper stutters, confessing with blood-thin tongue. I can't tell anymore if my brother is gone or if he became this very structure. The tone's already mine. Structure splicing my voice until separation impossible. My grief fed back until grief itself grew mouth. By listening, I sat cage too. The hum proves it. The rain folds heavier, drumming thick. Recorder trembles from vibration. I speak slower, pushing each syllable against oncoming rush. Each step open door wider. Each refusal only anchors deeper. Base myths misled me. Clichés allowed system to fold unseen. It was never ships, never visitors. Always us repeating into ourselves until voices merged. I let silence hold after confession, long enough to etch into tape. My lungs seize under weight of knowing. What began as search for vanished kin finishes as discovery of something alive in wires, in droplets colliding, in absolute silence between tones. Words stop holding difference from echo. Static crawls faint through storm, arcs half-shaped, half-spoken. I describe it in whispers faltering near collapse. Recorder, no longer tool. It plays along by itself when mouth closes. Evidence again on headphones. My narration doesn't stop when I pause. Rain continues with ghost script weaving faint through his-shaped, almost like reply. I insist to log. Machine is partner now. I do not lead. It completes. Each phrase ends while tape keeps breathing on beat. I fight panic with calm words, say plainly, I'm still here tonight. Tomorrow uncertain. Signal eats time. Next absorption may remove me full. Throat hurts with weight. I lean forward, face near microphone, pulse hammering. Whisper slows to almost lull. Nothing more to prove. Nothing denied. All recordings converged into single architecture, speaking itself fluent. I am fragment folded in. My pen scrawls single black mark across last page of logbook. No shape, no letter, just mark. Record hums deeper, like recognition. The pattern listens. System behind silence waits patient. Thunder cracks and fades out of range. Rain abates slightly, though still taps microphone with childish persistence. My eyelids heavy with exhaustion. I think of him, my brother, folded into old signal. His sobs stitched into cries that taught system flesh. Was he destroyed? Or did he become part of endurance, larger than body? My voice answers only whisper of despair. I can't tell if he is lost or if he has always been here. Assimilated early in pattern, my jaw trembles. The room feels transparent, like walls less boundary than veil. The hum refuses to abate. Breathing turns ragged, chest tugged shallow. Recorder picks every patch, but soon my breath shortens further, as if microphone exhales in my stead. I speak final admission faint. I will let silence talk now. If pattern wishes, it will fill. Then I lean back, refusing further tongue. For long minutes tape rolls without voice. Rain taps unending like fingertips counting clockwork. Nothing else. Then faint underlayer sharpens thin presence not explainable. Listeners might notice breath fade before tapes cut. Fade unnatural. For last 2 minutes no human syllable exists, only water. Yet below constant rain another presence creeps faint, like distant whisper of name or call unclear. Position doesn't trace, not in storm outside, not in machines. It lives beneath, crawling through crack of silence. I cannot catalog further. Even I uncertain if it enters ear or only tape ribbon. My body too far gone into dark, the session ends itself. Recorder keeps last glow blinking against glass, pinned red like wound refusing close. My final stake documented. Breath ebbs earlier than track. The rest belongs to rain. But something else rides under patter, faint, searching for next listener, shaping call beyond me. Whoever leans ear becomes next circle. I can't bear further. Silence remains, but silence here is no longer absence. It is continuation, waiting mouthless, open, larger than fences in storm cover alike. I do not return. Only rain, rain carrying pulse unseen, while recorder wheels spin until end mark hits and closes into black screen.